Let's talk about MSF. Let's talk about all of us. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things Scopely does. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Like and subscribe.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Let's Talk About It. We are going to be talking about everything Cosmic Crucible, from the Ultimate 32 to the first couple seasons of Crucible and the upcoming season of Crucible. Before we get going, give me a moment to introduce you to our guest this fine, fabulous Monday afternoon, and a belated Happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. So joining us live from Canada, none other than Senor DorkyDad. Welcome, Dorky. How are you doing, buddy?
Good. There's lots of mosquitoes.
Lots of mosquitoes and a flooded basement. This is sad times. Sad times. And of course, joining us, two of the biggest brainchilds of Marvel Strike Force when it comes to Cosmic Crucible. We've got jgiustii and Zubin. Jgiustii, welcome back. How you doing, man?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I couldn't be better. And Zubin, first time appearance on Let's Talk About It. And big welcome. Welcome. How you doing?
Thank you. Excited for this one. First time I've actually been in a chat with a couple of these people, Run and Dorky. So excited to talk.
We've definitely been in chats, buddy.
No, I don't blame you for denying it, though. And then, of course, who I consider the most entertaining MSF content creator on YouTube. We've got joining us today the man of the recap. How are you doing, RunSeven? What's up, man?
I'm super happy today. I'm happy to be playing Marvel Strike Force. Happy to be hanging out with you guys. Scopely isn't paying me to say that at all. It's all positivity, rainbows, and sunshine coming from me.
That is amazing. I'm curious. Like, did you? So, what has you in such a super happy mood? Did you get a new squatty potty? Is there anything in particular in the game or outside of the game that just has you in this amazing state of mind?
I did get something new in the bathroom, but that has nothing to do with it. No, it's just I bitched a lot last week. I was devastated last week with some of the news that we're going to talk about those things.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be that guy. And so I'm just going to try and just stay positive until I can't be positive anymore. And, along the way, I am introducing other content into streams and stuff. I'm doing other things because I just can't be here and take all of it all the time in Marvel Strike Force.
No,
so
absolutely.
I guess I'm playing other games is what's keeping me real happy.
Did someone say Among Us?
Until I lose.
Yeah. I feel like we got to immediately go from this roundtable into an Among Us game once we're done here. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah. So anyway, so thank you all for coming. So first things first, I just want to dive right into some of the good. When Cosmic Crucible came out, DorkyDad, you were one of the first content creators to really dive into Cosmic Crucible and put out a lot of content, and it was really, really well received. So much so that all of a sudden you became a Reddit darling for a period of time with your CC videos. So what about Cosmic Crucible is it that got you so excited initially?
Not having to rely on an alliance. So I love my alliance, kind of, but I like relying on myself more. Like, that's why I love Scourge, right? Because Scourge, it's a solo game mode. You get out what you put in. And I really like that about Crucible. I like that it's all on my back, which is another reason why I rage harder when it doesn't go my way. So I like that about it. And the first few seasons, we weren't flooded with, do this or be at an efficiency loss. A lot of it was like, you can actually get defense wins. Now that things have changed, it's kind of changed. But the beginning was very theory crafting heavy. And I really like that from a solo player perspective.
Yeah. So, so go to Zubin for the next question. So, sort of keeping the timeline moving. We had the preseason going well, and Zubin came out of the gates as the top Cosmic Crucible mined account, combination all the above. By the end of the preseason and about halfway through season 1. And so, Zubin, what was it in season 1 that really got the juices flowing, that really excited you about Crucible?
Season 1 still had a lot of flexibility with all the rules, which really helped me enjoy it. The only thing that did definitely make me rage was the unlimited X-Men buff. That caused a lot of problems at the first time.
Yeah.
But that was also the start of when they started artificially buffing teams, which we
Yeah.
didn't think at first, but Unlimited definitely underperformed at the start there. But I still
Yeah.
think they were really good even now. But yeah, but like not having to rely on an alliance, being able to theory craft, and also facing many people I know and big names was a huge draw in making the game mode fun for me.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then so then we go into season 2. And with season 2, it was the first time that we were just flat out told we had to put a specific team on defense. And then on top of that, when they weren't happy with how the community found a workaround, they significantly debuffed Darkhold, right? And and then they made some a make believe team where let's pretend that Tangled Web or that Eternals are part of Tangled Web. Again, that could be a spoiler. There is a new Spider-Verse movie coming out, so if we do see Eternals in the Spider-Verse, we'll all know that Scopely actually did know what they were doing, and joke will be on us. But Juicy, you want to talk about season 2 and what you thought about season 2? Because this is where, I mean, don't get me wrong, like I've known who you are for a long time, but season 2 really made you shine. Like you came into some serious theory crafting and doing a lot, and to the point where I put you in that upper echelon with Zubin. I consider you one of the best minds, if not the best mind, in Cosmic Crucible. You just don't necessarily have the account to back it up. So what are your thoughts of season 2?
So season 2 is where you're starting to see this, as you said, you're starting to see where they're putting a lot of teams, or forcing you to put teams in there, or you lose. Especially like the Wakanda, because the thing about it, it's a Wakanda from a C tier team or a B tier team, and made them an S tier team, and it's like you can't replicate that. You can't put anything other than Wakanda in there, and it'd be worthwhile. And then if you didn't put that in there, then MOE would just blow something else up. So you couldn't take advantage of that. And so what happens is now you only have really 4 rooms to theory craft on how to deal with. And it's beginning to make the rooms very cookie cutter. Like if you look at RunSeven's defense ups, watch the progression from season to season, from season 1 to season 2, and you'll notice the changes in the amount of theory crafting that's happening is significant. Where it's like we're talking, I mean, at some point you're skipping rooms, not even talking about them anymore.
Yeah, we would just go to room 6 and be like, and then this is the Wakandans room, and then we just skip it.
Yeah,
it's pointless. You see it every single episode. It's the same thing.
Yeah, and what was funny is like the only part that we were all engaged for is we're hoping to sneak in that Wakanda channel point. Like that was the only reason where we were all watching that part.
Yeah,
see if we could sneak that in.
No, that was the one thing, like I really I got to where I really hated season 1, but ultimately it was because it lasted so long. But the one thing about season 1 is there's a lot of mutants, and so having a big mutant buff made for a lot of flexibility and a lot of agency that we quite frankly haven't had in this game in a couple years. So being able to sort of utilize some older builds and do a little bit of building and then even the building of those mutant teams didn't necessarily feel bad, right? Because the season did go on so long. You actually got some worth from your investment over that period of time. So, which brings us to the last thing about season 2 that I want to touch on was, while Wakandan, they are sort of in that B C tier of Crucible teams. They were a fun team to use offensively, and so being told that I'm not allowed to use this team that's actually really fun to play with, that works really, really well together, it just felt bad. Like you can use it offensively if you really want to, but at the cost of losing this Crucible battle. So then we get to the ultimate 32, where we are today, and what a breath of fresh air. Run, you want to talk about Ultimate 32 a little bit? This has been a lot of fun.
This has been the most fun I've had in Crucible since its inception. A lot of people were kind of complaining about the 32 tournament rules before we got the bad news of returning to the rules I don't even want to talk about. And
still positive.
And
we're still positive.
I was like, these are great rules. These are great rules that allow you to be flexible. So far, all 3 rounds of this tournament, I've seen different stuff in different rooms and approached it differently with greatly different strategies that others have helped me with. And it has been exciting. And it reminds me of when Cosmic Crucible first started, when you got to see some of the greatest players in this game going head to head and strategizing and theory crafting and coming up with these amazing ideas and pulling out tricks and moves that I've never seen before. It's like the grandmasters of chess. I'm nowhere near the top as far as strategy. I'm just an enthusiast for the game and how it's played. And to watch some of the best people, which I am currently surrounded by, to play at these top levels was amazing in season 1. And it was a lot of fun. Had I known it was going to go the way it would go, I would never have complained about season 1 lasting so long, And now we come back to Ultimate 32 with these fresh rules. Everybody's engaged. We're all having fun. And this 5 days of it is actually kind of, it's like you raise the level of intensity, because, it's not just 3 and out. We're climbing. And every time you win, it feels like there's more at stake, because you're going up against somebody tougher, because all those people have won. They're like, it's a bigger deal, this Tournament 32. So this is way, way more fun and exciting than anything I think we've had in Cosmic Crucible for a while. Regardless of what you feel about these room rules, they allow for flexibility. It's not like Season 2, where you were literally just removing 2 teams. Wakandans, which was very fun to use, whether you built them big or built them small. And then Masters of Evil, which was a new and very powerful team, which people wanted to use in different places. You essentially don't get to play with them. Because, if you're using the MOE matchup into Wakanda, it's almost auto. It's ridiculous. I mean, the only interesting part about that match is how efficient you can be, and I've watched you do it, and it's a step-by-step process. You click here, you click here, you click here. This is the maximum point you can get. Yeah. And so essentially that room is done for, Then you've got the Tangled Web Eternals, which is another, you've got to use this or this, if they have it on defense, hopefully you have it on offense to mirror it for an efficient kill, or you use this version or whatever. It's not very exciting. It's this or that. And then you've got room 4 too, which is not that great, because that was you're seeing a lot of unlimited in 4. So that was a bummer to see all that stuff. Essentially, you're not getting to play as much of Cosmic Crucible. You're not getting to theorycraft as much. So 32 has been a breath of fresh air. It's been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing my score when it rolls over, because I haven't turned on the game. I don't even know where we're at for what time it is or something. I think we turned over, but I don't know. Looking forward to the next round, and I'm having a ton of fun. And also, there's a ton of content being made about Crucible, and you see people enjoying the game, win or lose. People are laughing, having fun, getting together. And it's a thing worth doing right now. And it's almost like, man, when this thing ends, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean,
what I'm gonna do when the tournament ends, man.
So I've been streaming every day the Community Crucible, and the stream numbers have been absolutely through the roof. Like, people are really loving everybody coming in and doing it. And I feel like, we try to get as many people streaming at the same time, and then just get them all in the room and self promote one another and try and get everybody to watch everybody. and there's been so many great minds on Crucible, from Juicy and Zubin to Purple Sticky and yourself and Dorky and a Thame who knew, a Thame.gg who knew that there was somebody that had a direct hook up to the mainframe of Marvel Strike Force that could just spout off the random everything that is a
and
kit.
With all those different people coming together, you have a variety of matchups.
Everything.
Right now.
Everything.
You don't see the same attacks happening over. It's not
Yes.
like it's not like there's a repeat from one person to the next. There's different stuff happening.
And then it's not just been the content creators. We've been bringing in members of viewers that to come in and help them through their Crucible. It's and that's something that Rim sort of made famous with Scourges. He would bring on people to help them go through their Scourges, and sort of doing that. It's just been so much fun, and it's been so entertaining, and it's really cool seeing all the different levels. Zero Cool Gamer as well, and I'm leaving people out, and I apologize for that. But there's just been so many bodies, Bendable and Wapo, and I can go on and on. But moral of the story is this has been just a spectacular experience for me, and at least the majority of the audience that I have and that you guys have. The Dorky, Juicy, Zubin. We'll go to Zubin next. Like, what's been your thought of 32? How has this made you feel about Crucible?
I've enjoyed it a lot, and seeing all these different defenses every trial, and also this being for just 1 week also adds a lot more suspense. Because usually when it's stretched over a long period, by the end of it, we definitely figure out a very specific defense that most people run over time.
Yeah.
But just being 1 week, there's a lot more chaos. People are thinking about different defenses to trip up people while the rules are still fresh. The freshness of it is also a big part of it.
Yeah.
Usually by then, people definitely get sick of the rules, but 100% enjoying it. And it's been great. The community is also amazing. Like, all the people, like these Crucible chats and everything has just been top notch. I hope they do more of this.
Yeah.
But we're stuck with the next season, I think, for the foreseeable future, sadly.
Yeah, I'm trying to delay the conversation into the transition into the rage that we're going to be talking about here in a second. Juicy, how has this tournament made you feel, man?
So it's been good. From just like as someone who watches Twitch, just seeing other people's defenses and seeing like they're seeing a different setup every single match, and I haven't seen the same thing. I mean, I've looked at my next guy that I'm facing, and I'm like, what am I gonna do here? And that's exciting. Like the fact that I'm not like, all right, I'm gonna do MOE here because this is what you're supposed to do. I'm gonna do Tangle Web here because this is what you're supposed to do. I mean, there are preferred counters. Like, as we're seeing, Doom is becoming a super powerful offensive tool in 6, for example. Like, just a heads up if you're like watching, Doom helps counter a ton of teams. It makes a lot of things that you thought were unbeatable very beatable. And that brings back that old like theory crafting, taking old parts that we aren't as used to using and really letting them shine. So I've been enjoying that and thinking of just different things.
Yeah, and DorkyDad, you want to close us out with this tournament chat?
Yeah, well, just to echo what a lot of other people have said, like the impermanence of it is definitely added to the stakes, which makes it more fun. People are trying new things, which is what typically happens at the beginning of seasons, especially with these open rules. And it's the open rules that make it shine the brightest, right? Like we talk about Stage 6, where ultimates cost 3 less, specials cost 3 more. Stage 5, where buffs don't hold. Like, those are the kind of generic rules that, if say they wanted the Tangled Up Eternal Room that we're eventually going to talk about, if they set it up so that we will find that to be the best room without them having to spell it out. Like, if they said Cosmic Hero Allies or Cosmic Hero Blasters, whatever the case may be, get the Tangled Web tag, and then we would go through that and we would find it our own way, and it would be more fun, and maybe it wouldn't take the first Crucible ever. Everyone's got Tangled Web Eternals on, right? And then we're suffering that. So I like that the rules are very generic, And I think they need to lean heavy into this. And what I would love to see from this Ultimate 32 is it almost being like a season halftime show kind of thing. Like every Crucible season, we should have this pop up 1.5 months into the season, do an Ultimate 32, and then have the other 1.5 months of the second half of that season, and then swap from there. I think that this style, it's an event for the community. Everyone's engaged, everyone's involved. It makes me feel a lot like Scourge does when we're having a Scourge for the first time, or Dark Dimension when we're watching used to be Tando Mac or Yags, and we're watching them go through it. Like the community is together right now for this week, and everyone's being a part of it because of the impermanence. I love it. It's great.
Yeah, no, if I had one critique, and so I don't like to end with a critique, but I think it's appropriate seeing as how we're about to go into Rage Fest. If I had one critique about the Ultimate 32, it's that it is an pre-season tournament as opposed to a mid-season tournament. So basically, everybody's getting less rewards at the end of this thing because we were all rolled back because of how they go to the next season. So everybody was rolled back a level. So everybody's getting one less level of rewards than they would have gotten if it was a preseason thing. And I think that would be a notable point. And it's a big deal, right? I mean, a big mid-season tournament, I think, is a lot of fun, and it gives people a reason to fight to get towards the top in the middle and not just at the end. You know, I was panicking at the end, doing my best to get in the top 30 just because I didn't know how this was going to pan out. So anyhow, so moving along to not where we are today, but where we'll be next week. And we've got the Season 3 rooms that were announced, where they're taking the rooms 4 and 5 and rolling them down, or 5 and 6 and rolling them down to 3 and 4, in what will be the new conveyor belt of Cosmic Crucible seasons, where rooms will essentially last, I don't know what we figured out the number was, like 240 days or something like that, where we'll be seeing the same teams over and over for 9 months. Great experience. And so with that being said, as opposed to, because like, just to be very straightforward, like people that are going to spend on Crucible teams are going to spend on Crucible teams whether you put a room there for them or not. So you're not selling more Crucible because of, because of what's the term? When
Lack of agency.
Yeah, no, not lack of agency.
Create a problem, sell a solution.
Yeah, create a problem, sell a solution. So you're not going to sell more of the solution because of the problem. All you're going to do is punish people that don't buy the solution. So it's a punishment to the free-to-play and cheap-to-play players, as opposed to an advantage for the pay-to-play players. And there's a huge difference in that. I know that may sound like it's the same, but it's absolutely not. So people that buy a character should have a period of time where they have an advantage with that character because they bought it, but not to the detriment of not being able to go through a room because you don't have the solution. And essentially that's what we have. So we've got no agency for the next, as well, moving forward in Cosmic Crucible. So they're taking something that was great at start and sort of tailed off a little bit, and now we've got another great experience with this tournament, and they're turning it into something that is inspiring a lot of rage. And the first person I want to go to with this is jgiustii, because I know he's got a lot of feelings, and he's over there tapping his foot right now. So jgiustii, what do you think about this new path forward for Cosmic Crucible?
Yeah, it just takes the theory crafting straight out of it. I mean, as you said, they should have an advantage. So, as you know, like I don't have the new warriors, and I'm in the third highest, arguably the third highest bracket. I'm in the top 50. All my opponents have them maxed out, and I'm still able to compete. But they have the advantage, right? They have the full 5-piece. I do not, and I have to compensate. I have to think a little bit more outside the box. And nobody that I face is complaining about that. If they lose, they have the advantage, and um, that's the frustrating thing is that it is like as you said, it's punishing those who don't have the desire to buy it. And what it does even more is just, as I said, it kills the theory crafting because the depths of the buffs are so specific.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot, like as you said, like the rebirth room for next season. All you can do is just rebirth with Zemo. Really, I mean that's all. In the current iteration, that's all you really could add. So yeah, and so your only theory crafted rooms are like 1 and 5 at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So the run. Go ahead.
I'd like to take this idea a step further. It almost feels to me like because this team is really, really good at solving the problem they designed, you don't even need to invest in them that much. My Masters of Evil team, I stopped building because they were doing what I needed them to do in Crucible, and I was punching up for 500k on Wakandans in 6.
Yeah.
Like, it was just ridiculous. So I didn't need to invest in them anymore. I can't use them anywhere else. If I could use them someplace else, I might invest in the individual members or the team as a whole to get a different job done. But I didn't need to because their solution only required them to not even be in teal gear, except for Kang, because I use them in Arena. And so it's almost like Scopely's kind of shooting themselves in the foot with this because a lot of people who would normally just maybe pay to unlock the character, they're going to pay to unlock the character and say, oh, this works. I don't need to keep buying these offers and add more stars because it's getting it done at 4 or 5 stars, and I don't need to go any higher than that. And so it doesn't even seem that great. Like take for example the new Warriors, the new members to the new Warriors. My 3/5 of the new Warriors is doing things in Crucible just fine right now. Now I don't know about this. You know, they're there to solve the tangled web solution, but they don't look that amazing anywhere else for any other reason. So if I were to buy them and unlock them and build them up, I would literally build them to the absolute minimum needed to get through that room. And that's where I would stop. As opposed to if they were a cool, fun, good Crucible team where I could use them in a variety of places instead of just beating Young Avengers, I would build them more for if they had a variety of use that I got to choose where they went.
Yeah. Yeah. The Dorky, what about you?
Well,
ready to rage?
Just like
hardcore Canadian. Here we
go. I
go.
don't want to do that, eh? Like I'm not about that. So it's exactly what you guys are saying. That it's so spelt out that it takes the fun out of it. Now, what we should say though is that we are getting a similar room to the Ultimate 32 tournament in Stage 5, the Build Momentum room, right? Instead of 3 energy, it's 2 energy. So it's actually going to change things up from what people are experiencing this week. I kind of like that idea. But it just goes back to what I was saying about how they can't spell it out with words like this. They need to be sneakier about it so that we find the apex defense team halfway through the season. So we're not experiencing the same defense for, like you said, 200 days, whatever the case may be. Let us figure it out. The people that figure it out sooner are going to benefit from it. And then we're not experiencing that hell for as long. And I guess it's very easy to do that. Just what do you want to happen? You want the Eternals to give revive, and you want them to have Tangled Web synergy. Okay. Cosmic allies on hit gain 10% speed. If you have 4 cosmic allies on a team, gain revive once. It's something like that. Yeah. And that harkens back to, we haven't spoken about it, the preseasons for Crucible. How awesome were the preseasons where it was like we had that overbearing mutant rule with the resistances, but it was just for mystics and was just on stage 4. And we had skill characters give 1 energy to adjacent allies. That was a very generic room, and they could do. I could absolutely do something like that with one of the faster characters now. Like that room rule could almost now be applied to city hero characters, and all of a sudden new warriors become a good defensive team as well. And so there's so much that they could do if they just decide to be creative about it. and lean into these Scourge-esque rules instead of just like, if Cersei's an ally, get revive once on your team. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Sorry, what are we doing here? Right? And the Wakanda room is just a disgrace.
Yeah.
It's so bad. And then they have to sell a team that is so powerful to overdo it.
Yeah.
But the second this is not in existence, what the heck are they going to do with Masters of Evil to pull it away from us so it's not some sort of master key? Because this game ebbs and flows with offense and defensive teams.
Yeah.
So when this version of Wakanda doesn't exist, what replaces it to eat up Masters of Evil? And then same with New Warriors. When Tangled Web Eternal doesn't exist, what are we supposed to use that on? Now, they're doing this, and it's already been said, this conveyor belt-like system where they're shifting things down. Once the Tangled Web Eternals is gone, what's that going to be? Maybe 2 seasons? Maybe they stretch it for a 3rd season, and this is stage 1 of next season. How mad are people going to be then? Because again, it's already a stage that is dictated by them. So, and after that, what do we do with New Warriors then? They're not super good against Gamma unless you can pull Gwenpool off. Against Darkhold, they have a focus issue. Against Unlimited, there's definitely a way to play. Like, you can win all these matches, but they're not great. So what's the allure to invest in this team to the moon? Like what RunSeven was saying about, like, okay, they don't need to be super big to work against Tangled Web Eternals. They don't super excel elsewhere, so why would I overinvest in them when I can just wait for the next Crucible team that they're going to sell to be the solution for a particular room that they are going to dictate what we put in there? So I think they really need to take a step back and let us be our worst enemies. They don't need to do it for us, right? Like, let the Zubins of the world ruin Crucible by coming up. That's the real answer.
Yeah, the give us get another walking hate counter.
Well, and if they put these rooms in play for on a long enough timeline, the community will see what works and what doesn't work, like what Dorky was saying, and eventually it will all trickle down, and we'll all start using the same defenses and figure out the most efficient ways to beat them with our offenses, and we'll invest accordingly. But it'll take us longer to figure that out. Oh, so that's another reason to not put them in for 200 and God knows how many days.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, I need 7 8 rooms. We need 7 8 rooms for sure.
Well, so I mean, that's I want to talk about some fixes, but before we do, Zubin, any from the top of Crucible, how do you view the upcoming seasonal changes and the path forward as is currently known?
I'll be more positive here. I like the 2 new rooms that they added, and even though they definitely make forces to use certain teams here and there, at the top for me, I constantly change my defense even with these rules. The only room that does suck is Wakanda. Whatever I do, I cannot change that room. But with Tangled Web Room 5 and the other rooms, I constantly add a +1 that could change the fight, like Apocalypse, Red Hulk, and all these tunes that I tried to use. And that definitely gave me fun and flexibility. And same with the ULX room. It's not a crazy buff like that room, like the 50% health and all. So I like that room. It's fine. But definitely more people use ULX there a lot.
Yeah.
The other rooms were fairly irrelevant. Of course, we don't have 2 rooms that have no buff. And the room 2, the portable shield room is a very cool room. Like with Zemo and all these tunes, you can make up some really cool defenses. Like I'll say I don't like the flexibility there, but there's still ways that you can change up and you can trip your opponent up still. Even with the forcing you. Only room 6 Wakanda. That's the one thing I will not be able to defend.
Yeah. Yeah, the Wakanda room is definitely the biggest culprit. And just seeing that continue, I think, is where a lot of the rage comes. But now, that being said, we're a week away from season 3 starting off, I believe. That starts next week, right?
Yep.
Yes. All right there. Like this ends and the new one starts. I'm assuming that it's going back to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Another critique on the tournament. Please don't do it on Mother's Day weekend next year or next time it happens. Like, try to avoid a major holiday. That would be super appreciated. Anywho, what are the fixes for Crucible? I mean, so I look at it and so my immediate thought was redo all the rooms, let the tournament start the new season. But I feel like that's a knee-jerk reaction, and when I look at it, when I hear you guys talk about it, I wonder if like the fix is as simple as just remove the 2 rooms from last year that called out specific characters, the 2 specific teams, the what was 5 and 6 that are now going to be 3 and 4. Take those out and literally put anything else in there. And then on top of that, I would love to see changes every few weeks, every once a month. I don't, like something like just doing the exact same thing over and over and over again for 2 months or 3 months or however long these seasons are. I don't even know if there's an actual set number anymore. But I feel like there's just not enough change and flexibility in something that is really enjoyable overall. Run, what are your ideas? What do you think? What's the fix all?
I know it's a huge ask. I know this is a huge ask, but I would like to see all 6 rooms completely different at the beginning of every season and halfway through every season, so that just at the point when we are starting to figure out what the ultimate defense is and everybody's starting to use it and it's just starting to get stale, it's revamped. And that would stop things like when they put in some crappy rule that's Wakandans in 6 or whatever, and nobody likes it, we don't have to deal with it for that long, and so it's not that oppressive. So I know that's a huge ask, because then they have to do a lot of work, as opposed to just changing 2 rooms at a time and letting those ride for an entire season. That is ridiculous. That cannot stand. So I know mid-season change of rules is a lot, but at the very least, we've got to have 6 new rules at the beginning of the season. That would be the number one thing I would be pushing for. There's a ton of other stuff. I'll let some of these other guys throw out some other ideas. I think Dorky was talking about adding rooms altogether. But I mean, yeah, just to keep it fresh every season, you've got to change all 6 rules.
So to sort of tag on to that, they proved that they can change a room with minimal impact, aside from Emma reviving for a couple weeks. Those changes all went into effect pretty seamlessly. Well, Emma reviving and Cersei removing 4 charges from from Weaver.
Intended.
Yeah, which I think is actually still happening. I don't think that was ever fixed.
They're not changing it. They say it's intended.
What about you, Dorky? What do you like as the fix?
Okay, so we need to find a middle ground, right? Because we have to understand the company's a company and it wants to make money and it wants to be able to sell a specific team. They want to be able to sell you new warriors so that you want to buy it. So if Tangled Web Eternals came out the same time New Warriors came out, that would be better than making us suffer through it for like the month and a half or whatever they did, right? And then it might be a little more palatable, because we're used to that in war. We're used to being sold a juggernaut defensive team, and then the next patch, the offensive answer comes out. But I think that they want the shelf life to feel longer, and to them, I gotta say, that's on you, Bubba. You gotta make the room rules work for that to happen. You want Tangled Eternals to make New Warriors be a thing now? Great. Next season, you need to make some kind of room that entices somebody to use summoners. Hey, when you have a city villain summons, whatever, give 100% accuracy, and they Morgan in her butt, and then you got to bring something else in there. Oh, I want to use New Warriors now because I'm going to kill that, and then Dagger's going to ult, and then we go from there. Again, sorry, Sable, I'm a little.
So not sorry to interrupt. So what you're saying is, don't put nothing works in this room except for this team, is what you're saying.
Yes, and they have to use their creative juices. They know what New Warriors does. They know how that team excels. That team excels by getting kills, death pool popping off, flipping buffs. You need to then make a room that has generic rules that makes whatever Darkhold. You put Darkhold in there, all of a sudden they're so powerful. But New Warriors gets the job done. And they need to be able to do that on themselves, right? They can't just say Cersei gives revives, Icarus and Tangled Web start with immunity. Like that's not a thing that we can sustain the game on, sustain the community's happiness on.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people aren't going to like this. I get it. I know new players, we need to be able to serve them. We need to be able to serve the mid game. We also need to be able to serve the end game as well. And I know that's a very contentious thing. Our rosters are 200 characters deep now. We've been investing in these characters to the max because that's what the end game content demands. 6 rooms is 30 characters times 2 is 60 characters. That's not even a third of our rosters. We need to have more rooms. They need to give them generic rules like we've been talking about, and then everything is fresh all the time. And like RunSeven said, I don't think I agree with flipping all 6 rooms at the beginning of a season. Yes, absolutely. Midway season, I don't think so. But I think you maybe flip 3 of them, right? You flip 3 to give a little twist. Like, hey, this is the second half of the season. Here you go. Figure this out now. And then maybe you make the season rewards better to entice people to really put their brain to work, right? Or to watch us, and that's good too. I'll work my brain for you. But I
don't even think they need to mess with rewards, because I don't even know what Crucible rewards right now. I'm playing it because it's fun in the tournament. You know, and if the game is fun, people are going to play it. I know touching rewards is an uphill battle with them. I don't want to try and mess with their currencies and ask for something that I know isn't going to happen. Yeah. I know there's a lot of people that want that to happen. That'd be great if it did, but that isn't even necessary for me.
I mean, to that point, like a lot of people really love doing tower, and those rewards are trash.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, they're terrible.
But also, to put in perspective, if you just throw some ISO 5 on there and the season only ends once every 3 months, people will be like, I need to get high to get my to get ISO 5, and it's a one-time reward. Maybe it's 1 million at the top. Woo, one character, but people will still want that, right?
That's a good point. That's good. And there's room to sprinkle a little ISO 5 in there for sure. Yeah. Why not? How about what if it was Diamond and Masters went from 6 rooms to 8?
If they could code that, that would be the best case scenario, right? That would make the end game players, the veteran players, or the new whales, they're going to expand that roster wider. And it doesn't then penalize the newer players like, hey, I just hit level 65. I have 2 teams, but I have 8 rooms to fill now. I understand that perspective is so janky that if they can use their programming to make it work, and they kind of prove that they can make things work at least at the level as the variable for the strike passes, so maybe they can at least make the levels be a variable for Crucible, something like that. I think I'm sure they could figure it out.
I think there's trouble with the idea, and I know I'm the one who threw it out there. On the cusp of 2 different leagues, you have people who are, say, in Diamond, but they're competing against people in Masters and and vice versa. So that might be tricky on the cusp, but I don't know. They're making $300 million a year. They need to do their freaking job and make this better. They need to make it work. This is the laziest thing they possibly could have done, this conveyor belt of crap, making 2 rooms every season and then sitting on their laurels and watching it go by. They literally picked the worst aspects of this game mode and are shoving it down our throat. No agency, stale rooms that are going to be here forever. It's the worst. I'm very frustrated with the whole situation.
Yeah, Juicy, what about you? What would you like to see different to fix this problem?
So first of all, I think they need to think about ratios. So when you're looking at, if you had held over Tangleweb Eternals, we would have all gotten it, and you kept the other 5 different.
Yeah.
That's 1 is dictated. That's 1 out of 6. 16%. So that's not going to take up the whole CC. You know, you're not going to win or lose, but you're going to have a big advantage. When you make it where you're dictating at this point basically 4 rooms, here's what you should put here on defense.
Yep.
Anything else is useless. Because they don't get any buffs. It's just a blank room then you're kind of setting yourself up to make it stale. And I get that you have to make money. So again, if you have to just do 1 room, if you have to keep Tangleweb Turtles, and then you had 5 other rooms, like all you have to do to make the season look better is just drop the Wakanda room, put in health insurance, let us figure it out.
Yeah.
Easy fix. You could do that this week. You already have the rooms coded. everybody is going to be super happy about that because health insurance is creating a lot of problems to make people think. MO and you also, as we're seeing, is even with those room buffs, new warriors at MOE are still very, very valuable teams.
Yeah.
And actually, this week has forced me to build my MOE bigger. Because, fun fact, in order for MOE to beat certain teams, you have to have your MOE fully built.
That's right.
Where I was punching gun 900k against Wakanda just because I have a big Kang. I have a G17K.
Yeah.
Do you
That's
hear
all you
that,
need.
Scopely?
900K.
Agency caused us to build our teams. Let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be real. My MOV has been 700k, and I am in Grandmasters.
Yeah.
So
I know Zubin said like he doesn't have as big of an issue, but the one complaint in particular that came from Zubin for the new season and for the season 2 was that Wakanda team in particular. Like, is it as simple as just removing that one room? Like, is that something that would legitimately fix this problem?
Yeah, I'm mostly echoing a lot of the earlier sentiments. Like, I agree with jgiustii a lot, and if they remove that and add like the health insurance, that would be a huge upgrade and would make people enjoy it a lot more. And another positive, I'm glad they took out those. They used to have room 1 and 2 that have no buffs and nothing unique about them, and they at least added something to those 2 rooms new season. But another big part for me is the rewards. You see a lot of the bigger accounts just don't care about Crucible, they don't try, and then this causes problems in lower matchmaking.
Yeah.
These big accounts end up against like so many smaller players that it's not fair to them to match up against these people. I like the way they did Quicksilver's release. Giving the shards every week is definitely a good incentive for people, really good incentive for people to try. But if they just added a little ISO 5 here and there, it would really make people push, because ISO 5 is just the most premium currency and they added it to War. If they can add it to War, they can add it to Crucible, and that would bring a lot more competitiveness. That's really the only thing I want.
Yeah, no, I literally I echo all of those sentiments. I think the addition to War was nice, but not quite enough. And I think if they took that same amount and put that into Crucible in the same manner, I think it would be something that would be super well received overall, and wouldn't break, their cell system. Because at the end of the day, like they've never sold Blue ISO 5, like not directly. Like they've got these little orbs that they finally put out, which are just ridiculously trash. But the only way to get the Blue ISO 5 was the auction events, which that's a whole different. Let's talk about it. So Zubin, so sort of want to sort of tie all this together and end it with you. So, is there anything in particular that you have wanted from Crucible that you haven't seen day one? Like, what is the thing that makes Crucible the perfect game mode?
I'll be honest, since the first time I started Crucible, I completely fell in love with it. It was my favorite next to Scourge. Scourge is the only other biggest tryhard mode for me. It was perfect. Being just me, facing so many people I know, and having at the time was pretty good rewards for ISO 4, and the Crucible credits to get gear was perfect. And the rooms also were, at the time, very flexible. No issues. They were bringing Crucible teams. They reworked Wakanda, which was at the time a completely useless team, and that was a star in a new mode. So honestly, Crucible was perfect for me, but it slowly, of course, degraded. Like pre-season was great. Season 2 was also really good. Then season 3 was when we had the dip in quality to the creativity and all these other things. I hope that with everything that the community has told them, they will see that while I don't have as much of a problem with it, more creativity will bring the community together. We'll see more different defenses, and it'll overall bring the morale of the game up. And like many of you said, it made you build different tunes that you didn't build before, which is a great sign overall for the game, because using the same teams over and over is just not fun for all of us. And I hope, since all of you content creators and all of us have told them, I think they will hopefully by the next season understand, or they'll change the rules mid-season. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, yeah, no, I know. So I've been chatting it up with Evdog, part of the players, the MSF player voice movement, and I talked to Beta, of course, daily, who also has avenues of communication with Scopely, and Zubin been talking to you a lot lately, and Dorky and Run, and I can tell you from the Envoy perspective, we're pushing hard in the Envoy chat to try and get a conversation with the people that are in charge of Crucible. We haven't been told no, but it hasn't been acknowledged as much as I'm comfortable with. I like being told that I've been heard, and that's not necessarily happening. I know. Well, there was a response saying that they'll look into it. But that's a far cry from we'll get you connected. And that's, nothing against, Lori and Archangel have been phenomenal in getting the communication back and forth. But at some point, somebody in Scopely needs to take note. And, at the end of the day, who are we? We're just some stupid ass content creators for a mobile phone game that are just sort of mucking along. And hell, my primary focus is mental health. It's not the game. Game's secondary for me. And that, that's what I try to promote as much as I can. But I think, I feel like we've said it all. Any final words from any of you guys? Well, for me in particular, my final word is thank you. And that's to everybody in this chat right now, for this table, everybody that's watching this. This community has been amazing. This tournament has been amazing. This weekend was a phenomenal weekend. As somebody who wasn't able to be with my mom because she's in a different state and work and everything else, this was a great way for me to get through my weekend. So thank you, Scopely, for doing this on a holiday, but don't ever fucking do it again. Dorky, Run, Juicy, Zubin. How y'all want to close it out, guys?
Yeah, just message Scopely. Put your fingertip, lick it, put it in the air. How's the wind blowing? People are happy with this tournament right now. More of this for CC, and you will be able to sell things for people to keep having fun.
Agreed. Great talking to all of you today.
Likewise.
Sharing all the different perspectives from each of you, and it's great talking to all of you in the community about this. I know, and we can see the common ground with all of you about we need more creativity, we need more flexibility, and I hope they'll just listen.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Agency, keep it fresh. I think this game mode could really carry this game into 2024, because there isn't a lot else that people are excited about. We're waiting on changes to war. We're waiting on new game modes that were alluded to. We're waiting, but the fatigue is real. There are a lot of people that are upset with the announcement of this conveyor belt system, and they've got to make a course change ASAP.
Yeah, don't give Lord of Rings the chance to change their graphics and catch up.
Right, yeah.
Juicy, what about you? Final words?
Oh, I mean, Scopely, you've proven that you can make a game mode fun. You've proven that you can get 500 plus people watching Twitch, watching the CC over the entire weekend, and that's probably good for your numbers. And you're choosing not to. If you continue with the conveyor belt, if you continue to make it where you buy these teams and you put them here and you use X team, and not just these teams are great, they're going to carry you. You need to build them for functionality. Again, MOE can beat every team. You just got to build them right, or you got to sub out a member or two, and that is a great way to sell characters. So you've proven that you can get both.
Absolutely.
And season 3 feels like you're choosing not to.
And just to tag on to that, I just looked at Twitch. Right now, there's 4 different streamers with 100 viewers. for Marvel Strike Force that are not that are not the sponsor, and that's the first time that I've seen this in 2 years. It's been over 2 years since there was mobile and rim and casino and what's his face, philosopher that were on with over 100 viewers simultaneously. It's the first time in over 2 years that it's happened. And so obviously people are paying attention to this stuff, and hopefully they will pay attention to this. So thank you all for watching. Remember that you are pretty, you are smart, and you are special. Thank you all for being on tonight. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, because I'm on YouTube, bitches. And that's where this is going. Bye, everybody. Peace and love.
3,000 subs, we do a hot tub stream.
Hot tub
We should
stream.
promote that.
Oh. Transition closing. Ultimate amazing transition. Greatest transition ever. Brought to you by Sable.